Welcome to the Hedgehog Watchdog, a special episode. I'm in the driver's seat tonight. We'll see how this goes. We did a special episode because we got Anthony Welti on the show tonight, and he is doing a Liberty tour. He's going to tell us all about it tonight, but he is coming to South Dakota next week in Rapid City. The Black Hills Libertarians putting on a little get together for the event at Murphy's Pub. We'll hear all about that tonight as well. Welcome to the show, Anthony Welti.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me on, Greg. Devin, nice to see you, buddy.
Hell yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming to South Dakota, too. Nobody ever comes to South Dakota.
Dude, I've been looking forward to this for months. I know I reached out to you a while back, and I've never been to South Dakota. So as hard as I'm working, for Liberty, it is a little bit of a blessing to get to travel the country and see some of these states I never got to. Because up in the Northwest in Washington, like everybody forgets about us up there as well. So it's fun for me to get to travel out and see everybody.
Yeah, I've never been to the West Coast myself, so I would love to get out there. South Dakota is a pretty nice place. We got some work to do here.
Well, don't go west of Idaho. That's all I can say. It's a fallen country out there. I live an hour north of Seattle officially, as far as my voter registration is concerned, and man, it's full on tyranny in Washington. It's went from bad to evil to to the worst.
Yeah, we really don't understand. I know you've been one of the big opponents of all these mandates and the masks and everything else. You've kind of been making a lot of noise on social media and really taking a stand against this. We don't really have a good grasp on what you guys like out on the coasts have kind of went through, because here, for the most part, I mean, some places had some short-term mandates, but for the most part, we were pretty much left alone here.
Yeah. Well, I just left Montana. Well, I guess technically I'm still in Montana, although I'm on the border of Wyoming, and they're kind of similar to you guys out there in South Dakota, where they actually just banned, COVID passports, even in the private sector, which of course we could debate that, of course, but I'd like to spend most of my time fighting state that's, trying to hurt people, literally. So. But yeah, Washington's been really bad. I mean, we've seen it for years, and this is one of the things that sets libertarians apart from conservatives. Conservatives for decades now have allowed medical fascism to start creeping into this country with things like certificate of need laws, vaccine mandates for public institutions, and then we see it in foreign countries with like Australia, where they actually started taking away tax refunds from citizens a couple years ago that would reject to take whatever the given vaccine might be. And now we see Australia, of course, literally trying to shoot people with rubber bullets and tear gas now that are fighting this. So I've been seeing this on the front lines as a medical freedom activist before I was even associated with the LP for going on 10 years now. And it's really sad what's happened. I've seen a lot of families hurt by this for years, and now you're seeing really just an entire class of people get attacked by the federal government and the state governments all over the country. And what's really sad about it, though, is it's easy to blame government for it, but in reality, it's the people that are doing this, and we can't let them off scot-free. There are millions and millions and millions of people around the country that don't believe that you own yourself or your body and think that it's okay to forcibly inject people with whatever the hell they think is for public health.
Well, South Dakota is no stranger to that. We have something that no other state in the union has. It's called a possession by ingestion law. And I think we just finally had the Supreme Court kind of take a look at it. But essentially what that meant was the state could get a warrant for your bodily fluids, and if you didn't submit to their will, they forcibly extracted, and by catheter, forcibly extracted urine from people, all in the name of the drug war. So we definitely have our issues here. like every state, pick your
Well, and
poison.
it's been happening for years, and this is why I was running for office when COVID hit, when the government hit, and lockdown started happening, and it was really easy for me to be like, look, man, I've been telling you for years that the government's restricting the supply of goods and services. Right. And when I tried to import masks, a group of us in Washington tried to import masks to give them away for free to, first responders and hospitals. We actually ended up having a handful of those taken from us by customs. Right. And here's a bold, an easy opportunity to talk about markets and free trade. And it's really been empowering and in a lot of cases for me to talk to conservatives. Because they're in some cases I'm actually able to connect the dots with them in ways that they never saw it before, where they were blind to their own statism, and now they see the Department of Education, the Unemployment Office, Labor and Industries, the DHSH offices as tyrannical. And it's because for the first time, like many of us libertarians, they're finally getting poked in the chest in a way that they, that it's really dawning on them. So our principles set us apart in ways that we really should be bold on right now as libertarians and unwavering.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll back up just a little bit. Do you mind telling us, and for other people watching, a little bit about you, how you got involved in politics?
Yeah, well, I mean, I come from Obama. Ron Paul didn't make me a libertarian. Obama did in his lies and his BS. I was a hope and change liberal living in Seattle, and within 2 years, I started seeing the cracks in the facade of what a politician is, right? A greasy, dirty, lying politician, and I finally started seeing that. And then at the local level, I started having some just BS local government stuff affecting my life, and very quickly. I literally just Googled political parties and I look up Roseanne Barr and the Green Party and the Libertarian Party, Constitutionalists, and it's like, you know what? I'm not a conservative, but I'm not a Democrat anymore either, and this Libertarian Party is all right. So I voted for Gary Johnson, looked away for a few years, and then the medical freedom stuff popped up. And then for a couple of years, I really focused on fighting for that locally in Washington. And then when I got tired of begging for freedom from existing politicians, I realized that I was tired of, I didn't want to lobby anymore. I didn't want to ask permission to be free. I wanted to get people elected that stand for freedom. So I dove head on working for Gary Johnson's campaign, starting a county chapter out in Washington, working for the state party, and have basically just dove in head first for libertarian activism of creating infrastructure, trying to create new libertarians, people that want liberty for others, both on the grassroots level, local level, and nationally, working with Spike Cohen on the VP tour last year. And now I spend my time post-campaign myself trying to help activists that just need a helping hand with either a project or running for office or starting a county chapter. And just giving them a resource that maybe they didn't have before. Because I know many people that might be watching this now that have been involved in the libertarian movement know that it's often an uphill battle. Sometimes there's only 2 or 3 of you in a community. You guys might face that in South Dakota. And really just trying to be somebody that says, hey, I'm here. I will help you host anything that stands for freedom that you want. I will help you build whatever you want so long as it's liberty oriented. And if you want to run for office, I will help get you from A to Z so that your campaign can be more, successful. And my hope is that in doing this, my voice becomes amplified. Your voice, Greg's voice and Devin's voice becomes amplified, so that the way that the state's oppressing people, that the way the media is cheating free markets and free speech, that we can start creating, the next great liberty movement. Because I do believe we're at a crossroads now. I think that we need to be all in. To really preserve what liberty we have left and to fight for a peaceful succession, if nothing else.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. we're trying. South Dakota is kind of spread thin, like you mentioned. I don't think Devin and I are going to be unfortunately able to get to your event next week because we're about 5 hours away from Rapid City. South Dakota is kind of split into two categories, basically: East River, West River. West River is really more sparse. Not many towns out there. Kind of more rural. East River over here is a little more condensed, but definitely not big city either way.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of the reason why I'm doing the tour the way that I am. For example, and I loved working with Spike on the presidential tour last year. A lot of what we did there was we went to the populated areas, right? As any intelligent campaign would, right? You're trying to spread the message as loud as you can. I'm almost, to an extent, I'm trying to do a little bit of the opposite. I want to go to the areas where the movement needs a kickstart and help. Right. So we've got this event, on the 29th, I believe it is. It's a Wednesday night at 6:00 in Rapid City. And there's, like you said, it's a little more sparse out there. So we're trying to give people a reason to show up. We're going to be talking about the federal lockdowns, the federal mandates a bit. But my main hope there with that event is to get people activated, answer questions on what it means to run for office or to be an activist or to fight the state, and take people that are liberty curious or pissed off and to literally help them get plugged in, because there are thousands and hundreds of thousands of us all over the country that give a damn, that just feel like I can't do this alone, or I don't know how to start, or how do I do XYZ? And our goal is just to show up, answer those questions, put local leadership in a position to where they can answer questions. And hopefully we'll find some candidates out of this, people that want to run for local office, that will work to, nullify federal laws, and really, preserve liberty at the local level.
Mm-hmm.
That would be awesome. And we appreciate you spreading that message, and hopefully maybe even kick up a couple candidates our way. We are lucky in South Dakota. We have pretty good ballot access. And one thing we also have, especially out West River, is there were about 20 seats last year or in 2020 for the state legislature that went unopposed, where they don't even have a second candidate on the ballot. So there's a really great opportunity for the Libertarian Party in South Dakota, because if we can field, as many of those challenge, candidates in those races, not only do they have a real shot of winning that election, but it puts our name out there. The more candidates we have, there's some really great opportunities in South Dakota for candidates.
And the thing is we have the right ideas, right? Most libertarians truly get what self-ownership is, but turning that into a campaign is different than just being an activist, right? There's a process involved that takes, experience and resources and assets that, as a grassroots movement, we just haven't created for ourselves. And it's easy to say that libertarians can't win elections, which we know is some bullshit, right? There's a lot of things pushing against us, and we have won elections. But in the reality is our incremental gains aren't saving lives right now. So we need to push back heavier. So, I ran for office in Washington, and not everybody can quit their job like I did and dedicate 100% of their energy to running for office. But with a focused set of goals, a focused, intent, some focused action plans, you can find ways to be successful. You can find ways to change people's lives, even if you don't win elected office, right? I ran for office and I lost. I got 325,000 votes. 250,000 of those were first-time libertarian voters. Many of those people now are ready to push the button and hit reset. Many of them were constitutionalists, maybe liberty curious, and now they've straight skipped the Libertarian Party and they're just ready to start over. right? Like they're like, this is broken. We can't solve this. But it took somebody telling them that it was okay to say that, it's okay to demand freedom for yourself and for your neighborhood and for your communities, and to just expose them to, solid, consistent libertarian principles, and doing that on the local level, for city council and county council, where people know you already and trust you and respect you, can have insurmountable gains. And it's just literally, sometimes our candidates just don't know how to run for office. They don't know what that means. They don't know what, putting a press release out looks like, or what getting endorsed looks like, or raising money, or is money even necessary, right? Do you want to push a message campaign, or do you want to, run on a single issue, or do you want to run to win, right? What's your goal? What's your intent? And for me, I don't think there's any one path through this. You'll hear a lot of folks on the libertarian circles talk about, well, you can't do this, or you can only do this, or if you do this, you're the bad guy. You're what's caused libertarians to lose. And for me, I take a different approach. I don't think there is one right way. That's why I kind of embrace the mentality that the road to liberty is many, that there's many paths forward, and each of them take paving and hard work. We got to build this ourselves. So I'm here to help you, your state party, your county affiliate, your candidates, your activist, anybody that just needs help on anything liberty oriented. I want to be there, because for me, this is personal. I'm tired of watching people suffer. I'm tired of my life being threatened by government. I'm tired of my kids' life being infringed on. And my line in the sand's drawn, so I'm here to help South Dakota libertarians.
Hell yeah. We got a comment here from Cole Thompson. I've heard people complain about the two-party system, say we need a third party. They claim the Libertarian Party isn't a real party when I mention it. Do you have any comment on that?
Yeah. So whether or not we agree with that, we should listen to it, because that's the market speaking to us, whether it's a bullshit market or not, right? It's the market. So that's a lot of what I tried to take to heart in my campaign, is like, okay, if libertarians can't win, why? What is it? What's creating that mentality, or what's creating these sores that are festering? So for a lot of things, for me, it's about just changing perception. So I could have gotten more votes in Washington saying exactly what I did, but putting a D next to my name in Washington. I probably could have doubled my vote total and done really well, but that would have been a short-term gain. That's a symptom. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to run a bold libertarian branded campaign. That was part of my intention, right? It hurt me short-term, but I believe it helps us long-term. So when I train my candidates, it's not to teach them to run as a libertarian or to not run as a libertarian, but rather to address the questions of what are they trying to accomplish. For me, I wanted to start dispelling myths. And one of those things is that libertarians can't win. And that sows from the idea that we're not running credible campaigns. Many of us run paper ballot campaigns, and I think those are well and good. They bring value to the party. Many of us are running first-time campaigns that don't know how to fundraise, don't know how to get media attention. And then inevitably we get a couple percent of the vote, right? And we further lean into these somewhat falsities, but there's also some truth behind them, right? So I believe that all we can do here is we can attack these issues head on and earn market share. Even if the market's corrupt, we have to earn it. And that's free market capitalism 101, right? Whether or not it's a corrupt monopoly or not, we can still come out there and do better. So acknowledge these issues, run big, credible campaigns, put your money where your mouth is, put your time and your soul into this. And people will start to believe us. They just don't believe us yet.
No, that's awesome. We might need to get you back to South Dakota at our state convention. We are fortunate enough that we can nominate candidates for state office and the legislature at our convention. So we can actually skip the petitioning process for a lot of candidates.
Wow.
And so, having somebody speak right before we nominate candidates might be a good idea. But What you kind of answered a lot of these questions already when you talked about like what your goals and what you're doing on this tour. But you want to maybe tell us a little bit about this tour, why you decided to do it, when you kicked off, when you're ending, where you're going.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been living full time on the road for over 2 years now. When I ran for office in Washington, I literally quit my job, sold half of what I owned, and moved into a travel trailer. And that's because I want to embrace the idea of creating liberty for myself, but also because it lets me do more for less. Right, running for office is expensive. Staying at hotels is expensive. I did a whole year campaign like literally like 4-1, 5-1 on my money in comparison to what I could have otherwise done by paying hotels. So we've been living in this trailer for 2 years now, doing outreach and activism. And now what we've done is just instead of focusing it locally on Washington or the Anthony Welti for Insurance Commissioner campaign, I've just changed the focus to helping the liberty movement at large and really fighting these medical passports. And we're going all the way from Washington State. We left a couple weeks back, a couple months ago, actually, at this point. And we're going all the way from Washington to Key West, Florida, and doing outreach. There you go. Yep. And doing outreach or training sessions all the way along the way. So some of these are internal facing for the Libertarian Party and our members and just teaching people. And then some of them are outward facing where we're doing public outreach. Right before this meeting today, I'm over here in West Yellowstone. My wife's actually on vacation. I'm taking a rare couple of days off. Today's like literally, this is the only activism I'm doing today is talking to you guys here on Hedgehog Watchdog. But I was at the bar having an old fashioned, and the bar was full because here in Montana you can go into a bar still and without a vaccine passport. So thank God for that. And the couple that sat down next to me, we just ended up, shooting the shit for an hour. And this guy is basically he's done. Right. And I was wearing a Seattle Seahawks hat and he's like, oh God, this guy's a liberal. Right. Because I'm from Seattle. And then as soon as we start talking, I got to dispel his myths on what libertarianism is. And really just encourage him to get involved back in Texas because he's up here on vacation. And we had a full hour-long conversation about agorism and working outside the system. And he's a constitutionalist patriot. And I'm like, but bro, have you heard about the anti-federalists? Right. And now he's like, I should go look that up and start looking into succession because he's down in Texas. And he's heard about it. Right. And just taking an opportunity wherever we're at all over the country to engage in political discourse and to have conversations that people haven't been exposed to. Hosting a medical freedom rally out in Washington. I'm talking about abolishing the public health department and the CDC and getting cheers from independents and Republicans, right? They stand for medical freedom. Now they didn't previously, right? But they do now because they get it. And the Republicans in Washington have done nothing but help the executive powers that the Democrat governor has. And a libertarian gets to go in there and talk about abolishing the CDC. Right. And I'm out on tour and I'm doing this because people need to hear this message. And that when they do and they're exposed to it, some of them will get turned off, of course. But I believe by the bucketful right now that we can bring people in and turn them from statism, their previous status self, and help them shed that skin. And I'm doing it on a daily basis. I'm watching it happen, and it's not even difficult. You listen to people, you ask them how they're being hurt, right? What's bothering them, and you put forth a libertarian perspective on it, and they're like, "Huh, well, that might work."
All roads tend to lead back to government on what 99 problems, and they all come from one place.
Yep. So, I'm looking forward to coming out to Rapid City next week. And then, we head over to Minneapolis. I'm helping Nate Atkins is running for mayor of Minneapolis. So Spike Cohen and I we're bringing in some heavy hitters, and we're going to go pound the pavement with them and do some
Nice.
political outreach right in Minneapolis. And yeah, we want to shut down the DEA. So nullify the DEA locally, elect local politicians that refuse to network with the DEA, create sanctuary cities against the DEA. From Minnesota, we go to Illinois, and then Michigan. I'm doing a training session up in Michigan with the folks. And I just want to help folks. This movement, I think, is our last stand at a peaceful revolution, a revolution of ideas. I know you guys support that, and I'm happy to be in, South Dakota helping your party out.
You mentioned secession. How do you think the federal government would react to secession in like the modern era?
Oh, they're not going to let it happen. They're not going to let it happen. And the thing is, as soon as Republicans get the power at the Fed, they'll forget all about secession. So we know that. And my goal right now is less trying to convince the political bodies to do this and more create people at the street level that want it. Because if we can change the cultural movement, then eventually the politics will follow. Because these people want to be reelected locally, even if not at the federal level, don't they? No, they're going to do what the people want because it's what power does. Is whatever greases the wheel. I'm nervous about it because, we watched. This is one of the crazy things I ever saw on Facebook. Right, as evil as Facebook is. Do you guys remember when Turkey was having its civil war a couple years back? It's like 6-7 years ago now, right? We watched that on Facebook where the military was fighting military in the streets, and then it went away after about a day and a half, 2 days. I don't want that here in America, so I'm scared that the people at the federal government wouldn't just let people walk away, right? That's what we tell people when you're in a fight, right? When there's a confrontation, the most basic thing we teach our children is to walk away, be nice, turn the other cheek, right? So it does scare me that the federal government wouldn't let, Washington or Texas walk away.
Turbine Guy says, looking forward to the Minneapolis event. I'll have plenty of green pills. Chris German says, if you come through Sioux Falls, they'll gift you some locally grown food.
Oh, thanks, Chris.
I think you are coming swinging through this way anyway.
Yeah, you got to get an Oscar at least.
I'm going to have to, yeah. I was looking at the travel map today. I'm hoping to hit up to Devil's Tower on our way over. I want to do the quick little detour past there and take some cute pictures and stuff and, do a little history and geographical education with my kid. We homeschool while we're on the road, so I take some time off to do that.
So have you ever heard of, I found out it was kind of weird because I thought everyone had heard of it, but we just had a Freedom Fest in July here. So there were a lot of people from out of town that had never been to South Dakota either, And I was trying to talk to them. Have you ever heard of Crazy Horse?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
Well,
Crazy Horse Monument, right?
Yeah. Go check that out. That was pretty cool. If you even want to hear anything about Native American history or anything like that, they got a pretty good museum in there, and it's better than Mount Rushmore anyway.
Yeah, Crazy Horse was definitely more libertarian than the presidents on Mount Rushmore, I would say.
Yeah, and that's a skin that I've had to shed, right? I came into this party through Obama via Gary Johnson as a, patriot type Constitution liberty guy, right? So what the hell's that? It's a libertarian, but just the reverence of even George Washington, right? And especially now as I've transitioned through minarchy and volunteerism, and I'm essentially an anarchist now, but just the idea that even the small government guys still believe that government should rule over others, right? With majority rules at the local level, even if they had constitutional protections. I was like, God, you're like, what's up with this? Thinking that you can tell other people what to do just because you're George Washington, you know? So I'm excited to go check out the monument, you know. But you know, I have to have these discussions with my son. He asked me today, you know, we're actually, you know, we have some family relations to, you know, presidents in my family line, and he's like, were they good guys or bad guys? And I was like, oh God, don't make me answer that right now. You're 6 years old. They were good guys doing bad things, right? That didn't know better, and we're trying to teach people how, you know. So,
we had a lady at Freedom Fest. She stopped by the booth, and I think it was Dave Smith had said something on stage, because he was emceeing a bunch of stuff. And so anyway, she had stopped by the booth, and she's like, "So what's with everyone's hate of Abraham Lincoln?" And I just like, well, you know. And then I started talking about so a little bit of a local history from kind of Minnesota. Our area was I don't remember the date or the year exactly, but it was in Lincoln's term. There was a tribe of Native Americans that were getting into it with the locals in Minnesota, and somebody had stolen something allegedly or whatever, and the townspeople wanted to lynch the whole entire tribe, and Abraham Lincoln had to step in and said that they could only lynch like 35 of them. So the great compromise was that, I mean, on the one hand, you're like, that's cool, man, that he saved, you know, a couple hundred people or however many it was. But on the other hand, it's like, you know, you just said it was okay to murder 35 people. And they still do a yearly march to, you know, I think it starts in South Dakota and it marches into Minnesota. Wow. But they still do an annual march about that. But it's just that kind of stuff that it's like that. It's not taught in school. What you're taught in school is just this whitewashed, rosy version of, you know,
Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
Yeah, and you know, yeah. I'm a product of public education, and so I grew up indoctrinated, if you will, you know, and believing a lot of this stuff. And then you kind of get older, and you start to question a lot, and that's how we become libertarians, I guess. You know?
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of libertarians throughout the country that have made me a better libertarian, right? By staying firm and true to our principles and asking me challenging questions. And, you know, and I think that's important, right? We've got to do that, because if we don't, it's very easy to backslide and to compromise more. And, you know, from, you know, where I stand now, you know, with the pain and suffering in this world, is I'm not okay, you know, as bullshit and corny as the liberals will make this, or even the Republicans, you know, one life is one too many, right? Like, yeah, 1 second of somebody's liberty that you've stolen is 1 second too many. And for me, I'm not okay with it anymore. So I'm all in on this Libertarian Party and just doing everything I can to help. So, you know, if I'd love to stay in touch as I travel across South Dakota. I'll let you guys know when I'm coming to Syracuse City and whatnot, and maybe we can meet up for you know, for a few months or something as I'm blowing through town. I'm still trying to figure out what route to take. Is going to be easiest on my truck and trailer. I'm a little heavily loaded these days, so trying to find the least amount of mountains and get to you guys as quickly as I can.
I think there's only about one road you can take.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so I'm over in West Yellowstone right now, so I think I'm going to head out of Big Sky and go up through Billings and then head over from there. But I hit a couple big hills on the way in. I was like, oh, God, I don't really want to have to go back out that direction.
It's a nice little trip you got going on, though. That'd be awesome, though.
It's a lot of fun. I get to spend more time with my family now than I ever did before. But in doing so, I also get to spend just as much time, if not more, on Liberty. So it's a better balance for me. It makes me more productive, and it really truly is a blessing. And, you know, we hope to buy land. That's what the end goal of the tour is. personally speaking, outside the activism, is we want to buy some property, and we're having fun traveling the country and getting to figure out where we might want to buy. And we're going to build an off-grid kind of homestead. My wife's really into alternative living, earthship housing. It's a way to be self-reliant, and it's cheaper than a mortgage. So, we're looking to drop some cash on, a decent chunk of land and build. And we want to do libertarian stuff with it. We want to donate food, right? We want to grow food and donate it, create our own little food bank. I've kind of got this fun idea that I want to grow Christmas trees and give away free Christmas trees to the underprivileged. I love Christmas, and I've seen how those prices go up on Christmas trees, right? I don't know if you guys have noticed that, right? And I hate fake ones, right? Yeah. So, like, you know what? I want to give away some free Christmas trees, right? And live that libertarian ethos of helping the community and doing it on my own time and my own liberty. So we hope to find that at the end of the tour. But at the meantime, we'll make our way through Tennessee, Kentucky, Alabama. We've got events booked there. So check out theroadtoliberty.com. If it's not already published, the dates are already booked and the details will be released soon. And then we end in Florida. We get to go do some work with the Florida Libertarians. And I get to dodge the wet and cold of the Pacific Northwest or South Dakota. Living in a trailer is a little brutal when it's, pouring down rain or snowing. So I'm going to go enjoy some 70-degree weather in Florida for a few months.
When's the tour end?
So officially we're looking like the week before Thanksgiving is when the tour, culminates. But that just means I take a few weeks off and then get back to work.
Southwest tour coming in the early part of next year.
Well, so the plan was to go actually from Washington all the way to Florida, west to east, and then from south to north and go all the way to Maine next year and do the entire eastern seaboard. We're going to wait and see what happens with these vaccine passports and domestic travel.
Yeah.
And I might just be buying land a little bit earlier than anticipated and telling the rest of the country that they're on their own and I'm going to focus local. But we'll see. I got some grand ideas, but the goal is just to keep funneling time and energy into this liberty movement because I think it's paramount that we do it right now.
Speaking of time and energy, you've been hitting the podcast circuit pretty hard lately. I seen you were on Tom Woods' show, Brian Nichols. Any favorite ones you've been on so far?
Well, obviously the Hedgehog Watchdog, favorited. So make sure to share this, hit the hashtags, right? Go to the Patreon, donate to Hedgehog Watchdog. I have to say it is a blessing that Tom Woods has had me on his show twice. He's got a quite a large platform of people that want freedom and liberty for others, and he's had me on twice to spread our message. He had me on as a candidate. He doesn't usually have candidates on his podcast. He had me on as a libertarian candidate. And that was awesome. I had a lot of people reach out to me after that, wanting to get involved with the Libertarian Party in my campaign. And then with this, there's a lot of people that are hearing about the tour that started giving. I give 100% of my time and energy for free. I don't charge candidates anything because one, they can't afford it. Two, I want to help them fundraise as opposed to taking their money from them. And if they did have money, I want them spending it on outreach. So we crowdsource our income. This allows me to do this consulting without a business license because I'm not a consultant. I'm a volunteer. And I crowdsource, which means I'm not a fee for service, which means I don't have to pay income taxes. So I'm working all ends of the libertarian spectrum here without a business license, without reporting anything to the IRS. And when Tom Woods has me on his show, a lot of people, they like the idea that somebody is putting time and energy to building this movement. And those are folks that in often cases aren't even dues paying members of the party, aren't donating to the party, but they support the libertarian movement. And donated to my efforts, So Tom Woods was great for having me on, and it really did make a difference. Money got tight for a few weeks, and the donations I got after coming on his show really has helped propel me through the South Dakota and Minnesota legs of the trip.
You got anything? I know he's based in Florida, isn't he? You got it when you get down there. You got anything planned with him?
No, not yet. Him and I talk every now and again. I know he's a popular guy, so I try to give the celebritarians their space the best I can. I definitely look forward to meeting up with them, and I think hopefully we'll put it on an event. He's got the 200th taping or 2000th taping of the Tom Woods show, and I'm gonna miss that because I'm gonna be in Indiana doing the Libertarian LNC training session. Because I think it's important that I keep learning from people that have been doing this for longer. So I'm missing out on all the fun to go do work, but that's kind of paramount to what I do every day. So hopefully when we get down there, Tom and I will meet up. And, for anybody that's watching this now, if you want to give, go to theroadtoliberty.com, hit that gift button. Like I said, I do 100% of my coaching and teaching for free. I mentor candidates throughout their, and either just their process of deciding if they want to run or throughout the process of running for office. So if you could give to the campaign the political, former political self saying, donate to my campaign today so I can, can help make you free. But if you could give on theroadtoliberty.com, that truly does literally put gas in my tank. I walked away from, a pretty good paying insurance job that I was comfortable in. And I work for free now. So, give at theroadtoliberty.com. Every $5 helps. Little, membership helps. And there's forums on the website as well. If you are looking for resources specifically, right? If you're a candidate looking for somebody to help you run for office, or looking for volunteers, or looking for somebody to build a social media presence for you, or a website, we've got a candidate forum on there, right? So people like us can go and talk about running for office as a libertarian, getting off of the social media end of it, and literally just the nuts and bolts. As much as I love yelling at people on the internet and calling them, status Nazi tyrants, I much prefer the ditch digging behind the scenes work, and helping people build successful movements. So, go to theroadtoliberty.com, get connected with me there. And, I'd love to, come help you, whether you're a candidate or a county chapter. Greg, you mentioned the South Dakota, convention next year. I think I actually already have those dates written down. I'll look at it. And I'd be happy to come out and give a training session, to the South Dakota Libertarians.
Heck yeah, we'd happy to have you again, because like I said, a bunch of us are not going to be able to make it to your event next week. But yeah, anything is good information for our candidates.
There's a campground at the convention site too.
So I love it.
Pull up your trailer, yeah.
And it's right on the Missouri River, so it's not too bad. Not too bad. I don't really have a whole lot else. I had two other little comments. They're just kind of for fun, though. I don't know if you know this or not, but the wife and I were watching a Borat show on Amazon, and your campaign showed up in that show, like the second episode, first episode. I can't remember, but Borat was singing at a rally out there, and undercover, of course. But your booth was at that rally, and I just thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, and that was, of course, touted as a Trump white supremacy rally, which it absolutely was not. The host of that rally, and I'd love to tell this story, Greg. The host of that rally is a registered Libertarian Party member out of Washington. His name is Alan Acosta. He is an immigrant, not from America. He immigrated to America, and he's a Purple Heart veteran. One of the other speakers was a leading Indian chief there that supports liberty and freedom. One of the other speakers at that event lost families in Nazi Germany. Okay. We had people of all political backgrounds. The vast majority of them were libertarians. Many of them, yes, vote Republican, and some of them probably voted for Trump. A huge chunk of them rejected Trump, right? There was more, don't tread on me flags than pure, Trump-esque flags. And of course, the media just reported that is something that it absolutely was not. The entire thing was a fucking setup from the get-go. My friends, like I said, hosted that rally. Sacha Baron Cohen's production company basically tricked everybody, paid 50 grand and brought in their own security, which were all actors. And they were all the ones that were singing and chanting along with his song that made it viral. It was all the paid actors.
See, I thought the song was really stupid. And to me, the only thing it highlighted was just, I don't know how dumb.
You notice that everybody's singing along with it, right? Nobody's heard this song before. How is anybody singing along with a song they've never heard? Most of us, because this was at the end of the event, most of us weren't even paying attention anymore, right? It was all the speakers were done. They were just kind of on some music at the end. Everybody was dispersing. And then all of a sudden this guy comes on. And literally the people that we were like, what's he saying? Right? Like many of us didn't even notice it for the first 5 or 6 minutes. And then eventually like the murmuring start hearing. And then my buddy literally got on stage, chased him off the stage, and chased him into the ambulance that he hired. He hired an ambulance as a getaway vehicle, which is illegal, right? And said that he was having a heart issue, and that's why they needed to turn on lights and sirens to pull him away from the event. So that was a fun day. I got a ton of outreach done. And it wasn't what the media said, but my buddy James is a city councilman, and he put out a tweet after the event. James and I were actually leaving that event to go put out signs. I had 200 8-foot signs for my campaign. I literally showed up to that event to give a speech with all of my, 3,000 pounds worth of metal signs and wood and 8-foot, freeway signs, give a speech. And I'm leaving from that event to go put out signs. James, as a city councilman, like a dumbass, put out a tweet about the thing and then blew up and ended up in the Rolling Stones. So the worst thing that came from that for me, because I never went viral, but I lost a volunteer because he was so freaking busy responding to emails that I lost a guy pounding post with me for 2 days. And anyways, I hate that guy. I hate Sacha Baron Cohen. I hope
we only got a couple
trips and hit.
We only got a couple episodes into that show or whatever, because it like the whole thing's just so fake, because it's like he was living in a house with like 2 rednecks or whatever, and he was like trying to paint them as racist, but it's like, dude, you're a foreigner or pretending to be a foreigner, and these guys are being nothing but nice to you.
Yeah.
So
I can get satire and stuff, and I'm not like the cancel culture guy. Alan Acosta, the Purple Heart veteran, after everything went down and Sacha left, Alan came out and explained to everybody what happened. They explained that that they tried to cut the power, to cut the microphone, and their bodyguards wouldn't let us let the host of the event, right? And he's up there and he's like, I can't believe this is what America's fallen to, is trolling free speech rallies. And he broke down crying on stage as a full-grown man. And what he didn't say, he didn't blame Sacha Baron Cohen. He didn't blame anybody else. He says, this is on me because I should have vetted this better. I shouldn't have trusted these people. And this is my fault. And he looked the entire crowd in the eye, and you can tell that it just tore him apart, right? This is a Purple Heart veteran, libertarian, right? Immigrant. And so for that reason, I fucking hate Sacha Cohen. You attacked my political party. You attacked my friends. You painted us all as something that we're not. And I would love to see Sacha Baron Cohen in person. I would love.
You gonna violate that?
No. Well, I'm not stupid. I'm not stupid, but I would love to look that man in the face, because that took it past satire, because there's real humans involved there, right? And that's not cool. It's not cool to do that to people, especially not when it's my friends.
Yeah. Well, I did not know all that.
Yeah. I kept my mouth shut. I was running for office, right? And it's like, this is a distraction. I can't, I'll lean into bad media. I don't care about that. It just, the topic wasn't going to help me at all.
Yeah.
And I did it. So I just ignored it. And like I said, I was literally going, 500-600 miles, putting out, signs every 15 miles down the highway. So I was a little busy.
Speaking of staring down Sacha Baron Cohen, the last thing I had for you was, I've seen you doing a little training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Do you got a belt? Have you ever trained with anybody notable? I've never trained myself, but I was a huge mixed martial art fan for about 10 years before I really started getting into LP stuff.
Jiu-jitsu is my true passion. If the state wasn't stealing my liberty, I would be spending all my time on self-defense and in martial arts. Jiu-jitsu changed my life. It made me a more peaceful person. I think it can save lives. I think it can help weak people. I think it can help small people, women, children, from being bullied, accosted. I think it should be in the police force. We just banned chokeholds in many states around the country, and as a proficient Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu athlete, it's not the chokehold, just like it's not the gun. It's Greg, or what's the fucking guy's name from George Floyd's case, right? It's the bad
Derek
police
Chauvin.
officer, Derek Chauvin. Yeah, excuse me. I've literally been stuck in that position before with a knee on my throat. I've actually posterized literally on the poster of an event for ticket sales with that move being put on me. It's not the move. It's the guy that let somebody's body go limp underneath him and then continue to hold it. So yeah, I love Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I have a purple belt. I've trained with Hoist Gracie is probably the most notable name. He actually, I thought he was going to teach me some cool, arm bars or submission moves. I showed up and he taught me knife defense. He's like, in Brazil, in the ghetto in Brazil, you don't want to hit the ground. You don't want to grapple. So he taught me knife defense, and it was really cool. But yeah, I compete jiu-jitsu. I've trained professional or coached professional fighters. It's really what my true passion is. So hopefully we can get back doing that more. Specifically, I like teaching women jiu-jitsu. I think with domestic violence, jiu-jitsu is a great equalizer. It can empower women so that the violence never even happens. They don't need jiu-jitsu to stop the violence. It's by the time they get proficient at jiu-jitsu, nobody's going to fuck with them because they're confident humans. They carry, you'll carry yourself in a different way. You'll understand body boundaries and good relationships with people and stuff. So I look forward to opening my own academy someday and coaching jiu-jitsu as a really a career.
Well, another reason to move to South Dakota. There's not a whole lot of competition. There are a few martial arts academies. What is it? Legacy Fighting. They come to South Dakota quite a bit.
Yeah.
There's some local. I actually saw my first UFC I ever went to was the very first fight Brock Lesnar ever had in the UFC. And,
cool.
A lot of people may not like Brock Lesnar, but he's a local South Dakotan. So
I love Brock.
He's always going to get a bunch of love around here. And I just think that's cool that I happened to be at his first. You know who else debuted at that? Not only was it Brock Lesnar's first fight, but it was John Jones Bones' first fight ever in the UFC too. Yeah.
Wow.
It was about 10 years ago or whatever it was. It was a long time ago, I guess.
I saw an article about Bones today. He's up to 275 pounds, and he's just getting stacked. He wants to be like just the mammoth heavyweight. And
gonna have to cut weight. Cut weight to make it, yeah.
Yeah. But Saturday night's fights, and I'm out here in West Yellowstone, so I don't think I'm going to be able to catch him at a bar. But Brian T. City Ortega, he comes from the Gracie Academy. His coach, Henner Gracie, is my coach, Henner. So I'm a big fan of T City. He was a blue belt back when I was a blue belt. Now he's a world champion level fighter. So one of us is really skilled. The other one is an amateur. But he's fighting this weekend, so I'm rooting for him. And yeah, Second Amendment's quicker. You know what though? So I'll address that. I believe in the principles of peace and nonviolence, and and even the ideas of thou shalt not kill. For me, if I only trained with the gun, I'm creating additional violence that may not be necessary, because I truly believe in most situations my grappling and my jiu-jitsu can negate any use of a firearm that I would ever need. So for me, I train jiu-jitsu, so I don't have to shoot somebody, because I don't want to have to do it. I don't want to have to take a life. That means something to me. It really is part of my libertarianism, is my jiu-jitsu. It's a more peaceful way for me to stop somebody from hurting somebody else or myself, and to not have to literally kill them.
Noble goals. I'd like to thank Mr. Welti for coming on the show. You can catch him next Wednesday at Murphy's Pub and Grill in Rapid City. It should be a great event. Murphy's is the food's a little bit slow. If you're hungry, order it early. Takes forever, but it's really, their stuff's really good. Thanks for coming on the show. Maybe, like I said, if you want to hit us up when you're about to Sioux Falls, I live about an hour away. We could totally come up and grab a bite to eat with you if you want to have lunch or something. Let us know.
Yeah, no, sounds great. Lunch or breakfast. I'll have to figure out what time of day I'm getting through there. I haven't even figured that leg of my tour out.
Well, you're about 5 hours from us when you leave the Black Hills, so
okay,
so you got plenty of time to let us know.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because I'm thinking, man, this is part of the tour. Is so Spike Cohen, love you, buddy. Spike had it easy, man. He got to show up to events and give speeches and leave,
and then they go on
and he had people. Yeah, he had people like me to run the tour for him. I show up and give speeches and interviews, and then have to hook up the trailer and haul it the next 7 hours.
We're about a good halfway spot though, from between the Black Hills and Minneapolis. We're about halfway, honestly. Not too bad.
Well, then I'll look forward to seeing you guys there.
All right. Well, good luck on your Liberty tour, and maybe we'll see you at next year's convention as well. Helping some of our candidates who are going to be getting started. But,
and if anybody's listening that's thinking about running or wants to help somebody that's running, reach out to me. Find me on social media, Anthony Welti or theroadtoliberty.com. I'll do anything that I can to help answer your questions. I'm sure Greg and Devin will as well. The key here is to show up and help one another. I believe that's the road to liberty. I truly do, whether that's, a political route or outside the system. We've got to be here willing to help one another.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on.
All right. See you guys.
See ya.
Well, that was a good show. The great Anthony Welti coming to South Dakota next Wednesday. So if you're near Rapid City, if you're out West River, if you got time and you're free Wednesday night, I would definitely go and check it out. If you're thinking about running for office or anything else, he seems like a heck of a guy, a cool guy. If nothing else, go hang out with him, have a beer, buy him a beer, and give him some gas money.
Yeah,
so
hit up theroadtoliberty.com. Show some South Dakota love. If you like the show, like our page on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, Hedgehog Watchdog. I don't know. Got our Patreon link in the description if you want to kick us a few bucks a month. Like if you've got an Argus Leader subscription, you better have a Hedgehog Watchdog subscription. Come on.
All right. Well, we will forgive you if you don't give us anything this month. You can donate what you would give us to the Road to Liberty instead. But next month.
Yeah.
I want to start seeing them payment. Child sports due.
But we'll see. Our next episode will be October 3rd, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Do you have any final thoughts, Greg, before we sign out?
Now I kind of want to go to Rapid City next Wednesday. Man, it's the middle of a week though. It's like, man, and it's a 5-hour drive, but it seems like it would be cool to go.
Yeah, it's too bad they don't have that train system built yet or anything.
That
That'd
high
be
speed
cool.
rail.
Like a high speed rail, you know.
Get to
an
Rapid
hour to
City
get
in
there.
like, yeah, hour and a half to Rapid City. That'd be awesome.
But all right, we'll see you guys next.
All right, well, thanks for
not next
tuning in.
Sunday, but yeah, thanks for tuning in. October 3rd, we'll be back.
Martha
Right?
Bueno. Yep,
Martha Bueno, yeah.
Who
Should be a
Anthony
big
will
show.
be seeing at the end of his tour, I bet. All right, well, we'll see you the 3rd.
See ya.